We gather in the midst of the storm to be shelter for one another.
We gather in a time of uncertainty to offer the assurance of compassion.
We gather in grief to renew community and to give ourselves once more to the vision of justice, freedom, and human decency.
We gather with love at the center, knowing we need each other most at times like these. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church.
I'm Reverend Jessica Clay, the lead minister here. With these words adapted from Reverend Dan Schatz, we welcome you in this week filled with so much heartache and grief. We gather to cry, grieve, and keep moving forward, to remember that the work of resisting fascism comes in many different ways.
I'm Reverend Jack, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm glad to tell you that the joy that is found here in this community matters. So we want to draw your attention to a couple of announcements, a couple of invitations of joy and beauty as an act of resistance. We invite you to an evening of Roma-style jazz on January 31st at 7 p.m. as the Music on Maple concert series presents Hot Club Mania. Tickets are available on our website and are pay what you can.
My name is Kaz Burr. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the ministerial intern here at WBUUC. If you're 60 or older and you have interest in our third Thursday group, please join me this Thursday at 11 a.m. That's January 15th, and I'll be leading a brief workshop on spiritual practice. We'll be discussing what practices ground us, and I'll be leading everyone in a few embodied practices as well. With all that is going on in our busy world, please see this workshop as an opportunity to slow down and center yourself. Hopefully see you there.
And this Wednesday, following our community meal at 5:30, we will have a forum at 6:30 with information about how to get involved in your precinct caucuses coming up on February 3rd. This forum will be led by our own Dick Ottman, who has a wealth of information on this, and participants will learn about what to expect at caucuses. You'll be able to connect with others and get involved ahead of the 2026 elections.
If you are new or newish or just haven't taken a tour of the building before and you want to, please find Melva, who will be over by the fabric wall over here holding a sign a little later after the service. She would love to give you a 12-minute intro and tour. And we are offering membership 2 today. If you want to learn more from me, that will be in the Wheatley room from 12:30 to 2 p.m. and the snacks and childcare are provided.
And we bid a warm welcome to our guest musician today, Jasper Lepak. Thank you for being here with us. We're so glad you're here. Jasper is selling merchandise out in the atrium, and I know that after you hear her beautiful offerings, you will be interested in continuing to hear them in your homes. So please do go and see her at the table out in the atrium after the service. So welcome back. And it's so good to be together on this morning, and we know that people are holding so much personally and collectively this week, so we ask you to hold your applause until the end of the service to allow us to be present to all that is. Welcome to church this morning. We're so glad that you chose us and you're choosing each other this morning.
We all want something good to leave behind. We want our memory to age just like fine wine. We want to leave knowing we did more right than we did wrong. No one makes it through this life without hurting anyone. We all want a purpose, something to chase our whole life through. We want to find meaning in the work that we do. We want to leave knowing we gave it all that we could give. No one makes it through this life without a reason to live. We all want one great love. We all want one true home. We all wanna do something good with our time. Leave a legacy. We all want one great love. We all want one true home. We all want one great light to follow. We all want wings to fly. We all want love to set us free. We all want to do something good with our time. Leave a legacy. We all want to do something good with our time.
This morning's call to worship is by the Reverend Rebecca Edmiston Lange. To visitors this morning, know that these words carry a lot of weight in this church. And to those who have heard these words many, many times, maybe take this morning to try and hear them in a new way. Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all of your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. If you're here, you need not hide nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together we make it a holy place.
I'm Tina Soderstrom. I use they, them pronouns. When I was a teenager, some of my friends got to dye their hair wild colors. Strawberry red or emerald green, if only temporarily with Kool-Aid. But not me. I really, really wanted to, but my mom said no. Not to make my mom a villain. In 2019, I decided to stop dyeing my shoulder-length hair blonde and let it go silvery gray. I was tired of spending that time and money. I was tired of trying so hard to be someone I wasn't. I was too old for the beauty games that patriarchy and capitalism demanded I play. That spring day, I put a streak of blue in my hair. And you can see what that led to. I think a lot about getting older these days. I'm 48 and my parents are 79 and 80. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, a little voice in my head says, "You're too old to color your hair like that." Or maybe, "You're too old to wear something like that. Who do you think you are, a teenager?" And to that voice, I say, "Oh, you don't like it? Well, time to double down and become the most radical old person with the wildest hair my family has ever seen." I have spent many years now learning to listen to what's actually going on, both inside and outside of me. I've come to know those internal voices who echo society's most damaging narratives. And for the most part, they aren't in charge like they used to be. I am very grateful to the therapists, coaches, and friends around me who pointed to the truth. I appreciate how they showed me the ways people use language and different messages to try to control us and remove our agency. I know I will never be free from society's judgment. I have internalized so much of it. I'll probably never be free of my own judgment, but I'm gonna keep trying. And lucky for me, I have this beautiful community where we practice hearing and resisting the lies of fascism, white supremacy, patriarchy, transphobia, homophobia, ableism, and ageism. Today, I light the chalice as a call to practice resisting the damaging narratives all around us. May we come to know them and reject them. May we have the courage to make a different choice. Please join me in the opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please join me in hymn number 389 and rise in body and spirit as you are able.
For this first hymn, we're going to be singing it as a round. We're going to be singing it in 4 groups. The first group being over there, the second group being over here, third group, and fourth group. We'll sing it one time together in unison, and then I will direct when you should begin singing, and it will be we'll have some support from our leadership up front.
To come forward and join me for the story, to come join me right up here. So this morning, I brought something to share with you today, and it's something that I've shared with you all before. It's a rock that sits in my office, and it has a little chalice painted on it. This rock has actually sat in many different places throughout the years. It sat in my office, on my altar at home, on my bedside table in my dorm room when I was in college, and on my dresser in my childhood home. This rock is pretty old. I mean, the rock itself, who knows how old it is, of course, but this rock has been in my possession since I was about 8 or 9 years old, so it's pretty old. I found this rock with my grandfather when we were on a walk together. We used to go on walk and talks together on my visits with him. And one day when I visited him, I had an assignment from my spiritual growth circle at my UU church that I went to when I was a kid. And the assignment was just to bring something that you find, something special with you to class the next Sunday. And so my grandfather helped me find this rock, even though he himself was not a Unitarian Universalist. When I brought this rock to church, we heard the story about our chalice symbol. Again, this is a story that I have shared with all of you many times. It was a symbol created, a picture created by a cartoonist named Hans Deutsch during World War II, when the Unitarian Service Committee was looking for a symbol to help people, to communicate with people, to help get them away from danger and to safety. When people saw this chalice symbol, they knew that they were safe. There are even stories about a woman who had not yet reached safety, who was still in danger, who would draw this chalice symbol in the sand every morning to help bring her and those around her a sense of hope that safety one day would come. Sometimes when there is a lot going on in the world, it is helpful to keep coming back to the things that hold you and remind you of the people and the communities and the love that anchor you. This is true with stories, and it can be true with items like pictures and like rocks, and it can be true with symbols like our chalice too. When I see our chalice symbol, I am reminded of the church communities that I grew up in and that I have served, and all of the people who have held one another with love and care, and who have worked really hard to make our world a better place. And some of those people are in this room. You could look around. That all brings me hope, and you all bring me hope. When I look at our chalice, I am reminded to be a beacon of hope and love for others in the world, and to try to live a life centered in love, especially when it is hard. I think that part of the reason that stories and songs and pictures and symbols can make you feel better is that you can take them with you wherever you go. We can carry them in our hearts and in our hands. We can create them and share them over and over and over again. And in doing so, they ground us and they connect us to ourselves and to each other. Sometimes, as with pictures or symbols, we can share them sometimes without saying anything at all. Sometimes when the words are hard to find, just like the woman who drew the chalice in the sand every day. And so this morning, I invite you not only to look around this room and be reminded of all of those who are grounded in hope and love and action, but to think about the stories and songs and symbols that remind you of the people and communities that ground you in hope. Thanks for listening today. We're going to sing our kiddos on the way. Our song is Go Lift It Up. I'm going to invite you to rise today in body or spirit as we sing them on the way.
Will you join me for a moment of prayer or meditation, finding a comfortable seat, centering in to what your body needs, to what your spirit needs, right here in this moment. Holy One, one who goes by many names, God, great mystery that connects us, Spirit of life and love, Spirit of mystery and wonder. Please hear our prayers. Our prayers of grief, rage, and fear. We hold personal and collective pain this morning, and we know that together we can bear witness to our broken hearts. We light this candle this morning for Renee Good, the poet, mother, spouse, and legal observer who was killed by federal agents this week. We hold all who knew and loved her with care. We light another candle for all immigrants and people of color who are afraid to leave their homes, fearful for their safety, maybe work for a world in which immigrants and others with marginalized identities feel safe and welcomed, where they can feel that they belong. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. This morning, this community holds in light and in love Tina Soderstrom's mom, Shirley. Shirley was recently diagnosed with cancer, and Tina spent the day with her yesterday in the ER. We also hold Deb De Bruin, who is a newcomer at our church. She fell and shattered her wrist recently. We send her prayers and blessings for her healing. We also name the joy of WBUUC member Jean Mamenga, who turns 95 this week. We celebrate with his beloved spouse, Shar, and their friends and family. This morning, we also have prayers for a family friend who was taken by ICE while on his way to work this week. Please keep Shelley Dykstra in your thoughts. She is having a shoulder surgery on a Tuesday. A note here, don't forget there is joy. Join me in sending love and support for healing, says someone here, to her best friend Barb, dealing with serious health issues and caregiving responsibilities. We also have prayers for healing for Maverick Corbin, Ashley Perfect's youngest, as he heals after a bad car accident. And lastly, we hold in tender care the family of Roger Upham. Roger passed away this week after complications from a fall. We are holding the whole family and members of this community who knew him well in such deep care. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember him. And now into this space, into this stillness, I invite you to name the joys and sorrows that are on your heart. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Spirit of love, remind us that together we carry the grief and sorrow, that together we witness the ways that life breaks our hearts. The work of collective liberation also centers joy. Help us to remember that the work of resistance can be in small and quiet ways, going toward each other, acts of kindness, showing up at church when the world makes you feel like isolating. Help us to remember that the work of resistance is different for all of us, and that when we choose each other, we're choosing our common humanity. As we move through this day and week ahead, we pray to be given a gentle nudge to remember to go outside, to put our phones down, to turn off the news, to listen for the birds, to watch the beauty of the snow falling, to feel the ground beneath our feet, and to just breathe. For all that we are holding, we pray that we go toward each other and toward that which sustains us, as if our life depends on it. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go.
Today's special collection is for Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity. For many years, WBUUC has partnered with Habitat by sending volunteers to a local building project every summer, and by supporting the organization with your donations. Habitat is a national organization that believes everyone deserves a safe and affordable home. Information on volunteering with the WBUUC team is coming this spring, and to volunteer now, please contact Jeff Ranta. You can donate in 4 ways, indicating Habitat on checks, online, or texts. Number 1 is to contribute to the collection basket today. Number 2 is to contribute online via WBUUC's webpage. Third option is sending a check or leaving a check in the lockbox outside the office with Habitat on the memo line. And the 4th way is to text to give by following the directions on the screens, which will appear momentarily. The offering will now gratefully be collected.
I sit in a church with my hands on the Lord. It feels holy here. It feels holy here. And I still believe God hears my prayer. God of love, hear my prayer. In your name, we wage wars like we've always done. In your name, we justify our wealth and power. In your name, we make sure that men always rule the world. In your name, we use your name. God of love, I still believe in you. I still believe, I still believe, I still believe. To the God of love I pray. Help me keep the faith, keep the faith, keep the faith. I see leaders rise to the top and I'm surprised that fear and hate are what we choose. Love could save the world if we'd only choose love. But we never do, we never do, we never do. And I see Jesus in the temple and the Pharisees with their righteous greed. And Jesus, he was sacrificed for love. His only message was that love included everyone, everyone. holy place, a holy place. And together we share the world, we share the world. This is a holy place, a holy place.
Our first reading is a poem by Muriel Rukeyser. I lived in the first century of world wars. Most mornings I would be more or less insane. The newspapers would arrive with their careless stories. The news would pour out of various devices, interrupted by attempts to sell products to the unseen. I would call my friends on other devices. They would be more or less mad for similar reasons. Slowly, I would get to pen and paper, make my poems for others unseen and unborn. In the day, I would be reminded of those men and women, brave, setting up signals across vast distances, considering a nameless way of living with almost unimagined values. As the lights darkened, as the lights of night brightened, we would try to imagine them, try to find each other, to construct peace, to make love, to reconcile waking with sleeping, ourselves with each other, ourselves with ourselves. We would try by any means to reach the limits of ourselves, to reach beyond ourselves, to let go the means, to wake. I lived in the first century of these wars. Our second reading is a poem by Lindsay Rush called Cracks of Light. I'm so grateful that bad days are often followed by good ones, that sometimes while it's raining, the sun makes a little cameo, that time really does heal, and in the meantime, sleep helps, that our dogs can tell when we need extra comfort, that when the worst case scenario takes us by surprise, so does our own strength. Thank you, Jasper. Terrible things are happening outside. Poor, helpless people are being dragged out of their homes. Families are torn apart. Men, women, and children are separated. Children come home from school to find that their parents have disappeared. As relevant and modern as these words might seem, they actually come from The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, published in 1947. And just like now, in her time, there were many atrocities happening that needed resistance. Her quiet resistance has bloomed and blossomed over the course of the last 80 years, similar to the work of Hans Deutsch, who we heard about from Amy this morning, who created the chalice logo as a symbol of resistance during that same time. His work of logo making might not seem very revolutionary or radical, but this is where it becomes so important to understand that every resistance needs many different people doing many different tasks, some more basic than others. Resistance takes on many shapes and sizes, and it requires practice. Interestingly enough, I've been thinking about Anne Frank a lot recently. First, I completed a jigsaw puzzle over the holidays, which is one of my spiritual practices. This particular puzzle was a present from Garrett, my partner, who knows me very well. So we combined three of my favorite things. It was a jigsaw puzzle of 2 stacks of books, and someone in some place or another has attempted to ban all of these books. PEN America, their organization, was the one who created the puzzle, partially to satisfy customers like myself, and also to educate people about the danger of censorship and book banning, and what a threat it poses to our freedom of expression and free exchange of ideas and information. It actually kind of was a surprise to me that her book was on there, but upon further reflection, The Diary of Anne Frank was on the list and on the puzzle, because her book speaks plainly about an authoritative state and lays bare its blatant attempt to grab power. And authoritarians of all ages and times don't like books that too closely resemble critique of them or people like them. Books like this are banned, which is also why 1984 and Fahrenheit 451 were on the list. And because I like synchronicity, Garrett and I actually watched a documentary about George Orwell called Orwell, 2 + 2 = 5, while I was working on the puzzle. And then the next night, because I guess this is what Garrett and I do over the holidays, being the partiers that we are, we watched another documentary called The Librarians. Anyone seen this movie? Oh, incredible movie about book bans and the librarians who are putting themselves on the line to resist them. And that very act of putting themselves on the line includes being fired from their jobs occasionally, threatened with physical violence, doxxed, or even on occasion, having people press charges against them. Both movies felt like incredibly pertinent pieces of art, prepping us for this month of January, where our theme is practicing resistance. And it was just a beautiful reminder that there are so many ways to resist. The Librarians, the movie, zoomed in on quite a few fights at various school boards, primarily in Texas and Florida, where people were demanding that school libraries pull close to 850 books from the shelves that were on a Texas politician's list of books that should be banned. The argument they almost always gave was that these books were pornographic, when in reality, sometimes the books were actually just descriptions of healthy sexual education. And because misinformation and twisted facts can sometimes rule the day, this list of books also, unsurprisingly, included books about past atrocities and many books by queer authors and authors of color. Books, for instance, like the children's book about Ruby Bridges, since learning about school desegregation necessarily implicates the white people involved in segregation to begin with, or denigrates the people that resisted desegregation, and spewed vitriol and hatred at a 6-year-old black girl, right? Dangerous material. They also tried to ban Maus by Art Spiegelman, which is a graphic novel about the Holocaust that depicts Jews as mice and Nazis as cats. And the reason provided for banning this book was nudity. Despite the fact that it's a graphic novel, you get it, where the humans are depicted as animals who wear clothes, right? Wild. But these school board fights aren't just happening in Texas. There is one conservative school district right here in our metro area whose school board elections are becoming dehumanizing and aggressively polarized battlegrounds. And there are deep-pocketed attempts to overturn the school board into the hands of a closed-minded group of people that want our public schools to only promote the same exact values as their personal politics. Does this sound surprising? One of our beloved members right here at this church actually ran for a seat on that school board. That was the way he had chosen to resist what he saw as injustice and a campaign of misinformation. Again, just another reminder, there are so many ways to resist. When our Attorney General, Keith Ellison, was here last spring, he talked about what every resistant movement needs. He talked about the importance of artists still making art, caregivers still giving care to the kids in their charge, and instilling in them moral values and strong ethics. The most powerful movements of resistance are composed of many different people who are tuned into the exact intersection where their skills and their interests meet the needs of the world. I'm so afraid that some of us might fall into the trap of seeing some powerful example of resistance and saying to ourselves, I can't do that. I'm not brave enough. I have too many fears. I can't risk arrest, so I better just stay home. To that, I'll just say that if you think you're not brave enough to attend a protest, I want to assure you that you are. With a little preparation and training, or with the right companion journeying with us, we are all more than able to add our voice to a protest, to do more than even we realize. And it is spiritual work. And when it's done well, it involves the type of grounding and centering work that we discuss and embody right here in this place, in our worship hour, during our retreats, in our small group circles. My older brother and his wife have been understandably livid at the policies and practices of the current administration. And for the first time in their adult lives, they've been passionate about registering their discontent and their dissent. Starting back in the spring, my brother, who had been politically inactive, has been dipping his toes into the protest world. It started out with him attending weekly protests at his local Tesla dealership, just a simple act of showing up with a single sign that said, "No Kings." And then he and his wife, my sister-in-law, were eager to attend the first No Kings rally at the Capitol, but they had literally never gone to the Capitol before. They reached out to me because they knew I had been to a few protests. I was also interested in going, but when I realized that they were looking for a bit of a guide to help them get over some fear of their first big protest at the Capitol, I eagerly agreed. It was such a privilege to be with them for that first experience. They were super nervous, so they read quite a few helpful practices. They came supplied with a small bag of snacks and water, and they even wrote down a legal aid number with Sharpie on their arms for in case they got arrested. In my humble opinion, this may have been a little bit of over-preparation, but then again, who am I to critique the method by which they prepared themselves, they steeled themselves, right, to be ready for this first step in a new world, a new practice they hadn't engaged before. And as it turns out, I was really glad for the snacks and the water because I didn't bring any. This was actually back in April during my first month of sabbatical. During our time together there, we heard some incredible speakers. We bumped into some of you, and we talked about the value of protesting. My sister-in-law expressed her doubt that our presence there was effective or in some way making a difference. Maybe some of you have felt that way. And I'll tell you now what I told her then. If our only goal of being here is to get the current administration to immediately stop implementing their horrible policies, then of course our presence isn't effective. But that's not the point of protest. Protest isn't just about what end goal you can produce. It's also about drawing a line in the sand when it comes to the things that you won't tolerate. Taking time out of your busy day to go to the Capitol, to one of our local seats of government, to register your dissent is a patriotic duty and a democratic act that has a deep possibility to change us. If there are people who are being marginalized or persecuted, and we show up for them, they may become people who show up for our neighbors. And in that act of showing up, we might learn a little more. We might learn about a few other neighbors who need support and solidarity. We might become more encouraged by the mass of people who also disagree with current policies. We might feel less alone. It might be very satisfying, I know it is very satisfying, to watch some kind of news program that lambasts current policies or revels in the self-righteous denunciation of what's happening. I get it. But it is something altogether different to be in a physical place outside of your own living room, connecting with others that share your dissent. There's something profoundly bonding and unifying, and it even provides a sense of belonging. So no, the policies won't change today, but we are beginning to change. We are fortifying ourselves. And the people that will most likely be involved in changing these policies in a year from now, 2 years from now, a decade from now, are here today, I believe, honing their political skills, being nourished and buoyed by this crowd of witnesses. Okay, well, of course, that's not exactly what I told my sister-in-law, right? It was something like that, but I've had more time to reflect on it, right? It's more eloquent now, maybe, hopefully. And since that time, my brother and sister-in-law and partner and I have kind of made this a bit of a family affair. We've gone to like 3 or 4 protests now, including the protest just this week at the Whipple building, along with some of you, again, who were there as well. Showing up to bear witness to a tragedy, right? A calamity of ICE enforcement in our city, to register dissent about the inhumanity and the criminality of what's happening to our neighbors, to our immigrant neighbors, to the native-born, to those seeking asylum, to the naturalized citizens. We didn't exactly know the plan of the group organizing the protest, but we knew what our own individual plans were. We each found a role that was comfortable for us, and for my partner, that meant taking photos, including this one, which captures the moment beautifully. Y'all, I know that some of us are tired. Whew. I'm tired too. My sabbatical leave actually lasted for 5 months, and I came back very rested and refreshed. And that was less than 5 months ago, and I'm already so tired. And thanks to my modern technology, I know that I'm currently getting on average 2 hours of sleep less than I was on sabbatical. You see, one shadow aspect of our current technologies is that the data for why we're feeling like we're feeling is actually highly accessible and kind of obvious. Like, I know why I'm dysregulated. I haven't been getting enough sleep, right? But will we change our behaviors? I know our reading today told me that sometimes sleep helps, and that sometimes our dogs know that we need comfort. But does that knowledge always break through the noise? Just this week, as we said in the meditation, an ICE officer shot and killed Renee Good, who was a neighbor and citizen and poet, a mother of 3. She and her partner were taking part in doing legal observation work of the ICE agents in this metro area. Some commentators have tried to downplay this work by saying she wasn't a lawyer, as if for some reason that would invalidate her ability to provide citizen accountability, or to monitor whether our law enforcement agents are breaking the law or the Constitution. In the wake of her killing, I took a pretty deep dive into social media as a way to get more deeply informed about the news, especially the local news. There can be value in learning about local news through our actual local connections. It matters to me to hear about my friends in South Minneapolis and what they're experiencing. It matters to me, for instance, that my cousin's wife, who lives in Powderhorn, engaged safely and fiercely with ICE officials to try to keep her neighbors safe. She stayed calm, she spoke clearly, she recorded her reaction. It matters to me that she was safe. It matters to me that ICE officials treated her differently than Renee Good. And it also breaks my heart that despite my cousin's wife's attempts, ICE still abducted her neighbors. But also, despite some of the positive things I've gleaned from social media this week, I have to be brutally honest. I would say that roughly 80% of what I was seeing was some combination of unhelpful, vapid, enraging, or hilariously funny content that was totally irrelevant. And I'm going to make a little confession to you all. Once I actually logged off after 90 minutes of scrolling, maybe that's relatable, I felt horrible. And not just because there's some horrible news in the world, in our city, but because social media, in my humble opinion, is more bad for us than good for us. I felt more connected to my cousin's wife, but I felt more disconnected from almost everyone else. I felt more disconnected from my adorable dog, Babo, who was sitting across the room while I had literally left my body and gone to some other place completely. Right? I was so disconnected from my own body. I'd been ignoring it because I had been. I felt a psychic imbalance. Again, maybe this is relatable, I'm not sure. Which brings me back to that first reading from Muriel Rukeyser. She wrote this in 1968, by the way. The newspapers would arrive with their careless stories. The news would pour out of various devices, interrupted by the attempts to sell products to the unseen. I would call my friends on other devices. They would be more or less mad for similar reasons. Slowly, I would get to pen and paper, make my poems for others unseen and unborn. This morning, I realized that's me. I was that unborn person in 1968 that she's writing this poem for. I referenced this poem before here from this pulpit because it remains so powerful for me. Its relevance in my mind has never waned, maybe partly because the amount of news pouring out of devices hasn't waned. I want to follow her example to slowly get to pen and paper and make poems for others unseen and unborn, like some of you do as well. I heeded that example during my sabbatical. I would say that overall I spent close to 10 hours on social media during my entire 5-month sabbatical. And then just this week alone, I probably spent 5 hours on it. So that's healthy, right? I mean, holy cow, I can feel the difference. What this week has helped me realize is that one of the ways I've actually been practicing resistance this whole past year is in resisting social media and the companies that are trying very hard to steal my attention and who are throwing lots of money into an attempt to co-opt my downtime, right? Time to regulate. Again, resistance takes on many shapes and sizes, and it requires practice. And it requires all of us doing our part. I want to leave you all with just one crucial question today, and if you don't retain anything else, I hope you at least walk away with this. What is it that you are being called to resist? It's different for all of us, right? There's many things in our world that need our attention, that need our resistance, that need our commitment. I'm looking out at you and seeing people who have talked to me about your passions, right? About the causes that need support. And I'm so glad you're doing that. You don't have to be the best resistor of all time, but you have a part, right? You have a part. What is your one small or simple act of resistance that you're being called to today? And as you think about that answer, I'm going to invite Jasper back up to play that chorus one more time for us. What is your one small or simple act of resistance that you're being called to today? The ocean is full of tears, y'all. What is the resistance that you feel called to? And what will be the first step you take to practice that resistance? May it be so and make it so. Amen. Our final hymn this morning will be One More Step. And I just want to say that how we take these steps look different for every person, right? Not everyone steps like everyone else. But whatever small increment toward resistance, toward justice, toward joy that you make, and however you make it, I hope this song buoys you forward into that new future. Will you please rise and bow to your spirit and join with me? It's number 168 in your gray hymnal, One More Step. For a benediction this morning, I invite you just to look around the room to see who's here with you in this moment. The invitation this morning is to possibly say hello to someone and maybe even share some piece of resistance that you're planning. Go in peace.